Without the ones like you working tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. No matter your industry, Grainger's here for you with professional-grade supplies. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare
Together.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare
one more time, all together. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare
Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisance to Sri Srila Prabhupada. Welcome devotees to our morning Bhagavatam class. This morning we continue with Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 17, Verse 3, and the chapter is entitled The Punishment and Reward of Kali. And we're happy to have His Grace Vishnugada Prabhu with us. Hare Krishna Prabhu, Vancha Prabhupada Bhyascha, Kripa Sindhaveva, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. And it's all yours, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari
Jashodanandana Braja Janaranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana
Jashodanandana Braja Janaranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana
Jamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Jamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadhari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadhari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari
Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana.
Yashodanandana Praja Jana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana.
Yashodanandana Praja Jana Ranjana
Jamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Thira Panachari
Jamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Thira Panachari
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajak Acharya Ashtottara Sutta Shishimar His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai
Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai.
Jai
ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai
Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai.
Jai
प्रेम से कहा श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय।
Jai
श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरी गोवर्धन की जय।
Jai
वृंदावन धाम की जय।
Jai
नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय।
Jai
गंगा माई की जय।
Jai
यमुना माई की जय।
Jai
तुलसी देवी की जय।
Jai
भक्ति देवी की जय।
Jai
समवेता भक्तवृंद की जय। Gaur
Jai
Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna
All glory to Sri Sri Guru and
Shri
Sri
Shri
Gauranga Hari Hari
Gauranga.
Bol. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Shami iti namani namaste sarasate deve gauravani pracharini visheshunyavadi paschatya deshatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 17th chapter, verse number 3. Gam cha dharma dukham dinam vrisham shudra padahatam vivatsam ashuvadanam kshamam yavasam ichchatim. Gam cha dharma dukham dinam vrisham shudra padahatam vivatsam ashuvadanam kshamam yavasam ichchatim. Gam cha dharma dugham dinam vrisham shudra padahatam vivatsam ashuvadanam vadanam kshamam yavasam ichchatim. Please chant.
Gam cha dharma dugham dinam bhrisham shudra padahatam vivatsam ashruvadanam shamam yavasam ichchatim.
Gam cha dharma dudam dinam isham shudra padahatam vivatsam ashubhadanam shamam yavasam ichchatim.
Gamcha dharma dukham dinam vrisham shudra padahatam vivatsamashruvadanam shamam yavasam ichatim. Hare Krishna.
गां च धर्मदुधां दीनां भृशं शूद्रपद आहतां विवत्साम् आश्रुवदनां श्यामं यवसम् इच्छितम्. Hare Krishna.
Gam, the cow. Cha, also. Dharma dugham, beneficial because one can draw religion from her. Dinam, now rendered poor. Brishang, distressed. Shudra, the lower caste. Pada ahatam, beaten on the legs. Vivatsam, without any calf. Ashuvadanam, with tears in her eyes. Kshamam, very weak. Yavasam, grass. Ichchating, as if desiring to have some grass to eat. Translation. Although the cow is beneficial because one can draw religious principles from her, she was now rendered poor and calfless. Her legs were being beaten by a Shudra. There were tears in her eyes, and she was distressed and weak. She was hankering after some grass in the field. Purport. The next symptom of the age of Kali is the distressed condition of the cow. Milking the cow means drawing the principles of religion in liquid form. The great rishis and munis would live only on milk. Srila Shukadev Goswami would go to a householder while he was milking a cow, and he would simply take a little quantity of it for subsistence. Even 50 years ago, no one would deprive a sadhu of a quart or two of milk. And every householder would give milk like water. For a Sanatanist, a follower of Vedic principles, it is the duty of every householder to have cows and bulls as household paraphernalia. not only for drinking milk, but also for deriving religious principles. The Sanatanist worships cows on religious principles and respects brahmanas. The cow's milk is required for the sacrificial fire. And by performing sacrifices, the householder can be happy. The cow's calf not only is beautiful to look at, but also gives satisfaction to the cow. And so she delivers as much milk as possible. But in the Kali Yuga, the calves are separated from the cows as early as possible for purposes which may not be mentioned in these pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. The cow stands with tears in her eyes. The Shudra milkman draws milk from the cow artificially, and when there is no milk, the cow is sent to be slaughtered. These greatly sinful acts are responsible for all the troubles in present society. People do not know what they're doing in the name of economic development. The influence of Kali will keep them in the darkness of ignorance. Despite all the endeavors for peace and prosperity, they must try to see the cows and the bulls happy in all respects. Foolish people do not know how one earns happiness by making the cows and bulls happy. But it is a fact by the law of nature. Let us take it from the authority of Srimad Bhagavatam. Let us take it from the authority of Srimad Bhagavatam and adopt the principles for the total happiness of humanity. Om Agyana Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Nama Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtang Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Shayam Rupa Gadabhayam Dadati Shapandantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Before speaking, I'd like to ask permission and blessings from all the devotees, and particularly those who are senior by age or advancement in Krishna consciousness.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. This is a very powerful, strong purport and verse describing the importance of the cow in human society. Just as there's laws of man, there are laws of God. And that's called dharma. Dharma. Dharman to sakshat bhagavat pranitam. The dharma laws are those laws that are directly given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We cannot manufacture it. So if you say, well, I'd like to make some laws and ask everybody to follow, nobody will take you seriously. But these laws of dharma are sometimes subtle, and people don't easily understand them. But they're very effective. If one follows the laws of dharma, then it's possible to have happiness and peace. But transgressing these laws of dharma, Srila Prabhupada mentions that it's not possible to have happiness and peace, even if there are peace commissions, the United Nations, so many other attempts at happiness and peace in human society, because the laws of nature, the laws of God, dharma, are being violated, their attempts at peace and happiness and cooperation will be befuddled at every step. So the laws of Dharma, the spiritual laws of God, are elucidated in the transcendental literatures like Srimad Bhagavatam. In the beginning, Vyasadeva said, Dharma projita kaitavota paramo nirmatsaranam shatam. He said that all different kinds of so-called dharma are rejected in this literature, Srimad Bhagavatam, and the highest truth is inculcated for the benefit of all, so that the threefold miseries of life will be uprooted from the heart. And part of this is being explained here. That dharma, it's not a material dharma. It's a spiritual dharma that one must respect the cow, not slaughter the cow. Therefore, there's the nice verse that we chant in offering a prasadam, in worshiping the deities. Namo Brahmanya Devaya. How does it go? Namo
Namo
Brahmanya Deva.
Brahmya Devaya Go
Go
Brahmya
Brahmana
Tesha
Nitya.
Jagaditya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha.
Namo Brahmanya Devaya. All I offer my respectful obeisances to the Supreme Brahman, Brahmanya Dev. Go means cow. Brahman, go Brahman. He is Lord Krishna, that Supreme Brahman. We are also Brahman, little Brahman, but the Supreme Brahman is Krishna. Namo Brahmanya Devaya, go Brahman Hitaya cha. He's particularly favorable to the cows and the Brahmins. And if you look at this verse, you'll find the cows are mentioned before the Brahmins. Isn't that interesting? Go Brahman, Hitaya. Hitaya means very, very wonderfully disposed, pleasing, wants to please, partial to the cows and the Brahmins. And the cows are mentioned first. Jagat Hitaya. And he's well-wishing to all, the whole universe. But these cow and Brahman were particularly singled out. Jagat Hitaya. Who's that? Krishna. Govindaya Namo Namaha. And so I offer my respectful obeisances again and again to that person, Govinda, who gives pleasure to the cows and the land and the senses. Govindaya Namo Namaha. So the cow, for those of us who are maybe born and grew up in the suburbs or towns, but not the country, we often get disconnected from the reality of the world, that economy is really based on land, cows, and such grains. We can't eat nuts and bolts from the factory. We need the production of the field and the milk from the cow. So important is that Srila Prabhupada is mentioning that this is liquid religion, the cow, the milk of the cow. Krishna, so you see pictures of Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vishnu, we don't see so much with cows, but Krishna we see with cows, isn't it? When you see pictures, it's called Gopal, there's Krishna with his cow. And when Lord Brahma, after executing severe austerities for many celestial years, he and Lord Krishna appeared to him. The first prayer that he offered to Lord Krishna, Chintamani Prakara Shadmashu Kalpavrikshalakshravitesu Shurabira Vipalyantam. He describes Lord Krishna as the cowherd of unlimited Surabhi cows. So the connection with Krishna as the cowherd is so much important. So if the Supreme Personality of Godhead is giving example and showing, even in his childhood, how he was completely occupied in taking care of calves and then cows at the age of 6, how much important we should understand the cow is. But unfortunately, in this culture, our Western culture, we look at the cow as a object of envy and make arrangements to kill the cow at the earliest possible time. This is a great shame on our civilization. The cow isn't requiring anything from you. They're satisfied by eating the grass of the field, but still, there's a murder of the cow. So in Vedic civilization, because the cow is delivering religious principles, milk, which Prabhupada says in other places that milk, the consumption of milk from the cow is required to develop the finer tissues in the brain. You know this. For understanding spiritual life, that's a requirement. It's a requirement. So how important the cow is. Therefore, the cow is described as one of the 7 mothers in human society, because most people, even now, are weaned from their mother on cow's milk. So there are 7 mothers. One mother is the actual mother. Do you know the rest of the mothers?
Nurse,
Nurse, yeah.
the king, the wife of the king,
Wife of the king, yeah.
wife of the guru,
Wife of the guru.
wife of
Wife
a
of the
brahmana,
Brahmin,
Wife of the Brahmin, yeah.
cow, nurse, and earth.
earth,
Cow and
yes.
earth, Mother Earth. Yes,
Yes.
yes. It's said. So mother cow. Oh, mother cow. So if we take the milk of the cow and either before she's and the bull, the service of the bull, and we if she stops giving milk, then we kill her. This is a barbaric civilization, killing the mother. And Prabhupada mentions here that that's the cause, the root cause of so many problems, so much disturbance and so much anxiety and problems in human society. I know when I was a young boy, all the cultural TV shows that we had featured cowboys. Well, maybe that's now they don't, but at that time, for some reason, in the 50s and 60s, all people were cowboys. And there were a few cowgirls also. Of course, they didn't show the part where what was the cowboy and cowgirl, what was the ultimate result of their activity. They're raising cattle or involved in raising cattle. What? To involve in slaughter, bring the cows to slaughter. That part wasn't shown. They glorify the cowboy. So they're cowboys and cowgirls in Krishna's Leela, but they're different in that they're protecting the cow as opposed to raising the cow for slaughter. Krishi Gorakshavani Jam Vaishyakarma Swabhava Jam. So Srila Prabhupada, right from the very beginning of ISKCON, he wanted to make arrangements to protect the cow. He would use the milk from the store, for making sweet rice and gulab jamun. Gulab jamuns. He would make them from paneer, curd. You know that? And it was, well, in Achyutananda Prabhu's book, he claims credit for making the first gulab from powdered milk. But Srila Prabhupada, yeah, anyway. So, but he would utilize the milk of the cow, even if it was taken from the people who were going to kill the cow later, for offering to the Supreme Lord, because he thought that he indicated that for service to Krishna, for offering pleasing things to Krishna, offering milk products was required. But at the first opportunity, when there was some chance to develop cow protection, the first place was in New Vrindavan. He immediately started that, and he wanted that the country, the farm communities, and the city temples work together, so that the farm communities supply the city temples and back and forth, and the city temples also help with the farm communities, and that way there's a nice cooperation, ultimately to benefit the cows and the devotees. So I remember devotees from New Vrindavan, when would come and visit New York temple. At that time there weren't as many temples as there are now, but New York devotees from New Vrindavan would regularly come to New York, and they'd always bring a bucket of ghee from the cows in New Vrindavan. And then about 5 years later, the New York temple, Srila Prabhupada was talking about how, in the future, there'll be more and more conflict, and people will have a much harder time living, producing food and getting food and all such, and that there might be some kind of World War III. This was in the early, about 74, 73, 74. So temples all over the in North America began purchasing farms. Do you know this? Like there was a farm in Buffalo, there was a farm in Montreal, there was a farm in so many different farms were there. Now, a few of them are remaining, but not so many. But and Srila Prabhupada, the New York temple, purchased the farm, which we call now Gitanagari. And Gitanagari was a farm and a dairy before it was purchased, that was already functioning. So Srila Prabhupada very much liked that. And when Srila Prabhupada came to the United States in 1976, he visited Gitanagari in the Radha Damodar bus. You know this. You've seen pictures. Yeah. So, this is very interesting, because at that time, Radha Damodar bus party was a traveling party, and the Radha Damodar deities were there on various buses they would take. But somehow, after Srila Prabhupada visited Gitanagari, Sri Radha Damodar liked it so much that later on they came to stay. Isn't that interesting? Country life, country living. Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahman Hitaya Cha. And when Srila Prabhupada, in 1977, when he was indisposed, and he was coming back he was making an attempt to travel to the West for the last time to enliven his devotees, where was his destination?
He wanted to come to Gitanagari.
Unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it at that time, at least physically. But so how important, from the point of view of Krishna's being Gopal, Govinda, protecting the cows, herding the cows, Surabhi Abhipalyantam, and his great devotee, Srila Prabhupada, showing the importance of the cow in making Gitanagari his destination at the last point of his life. This is important, very important in our society of preachers and Krishna consciousness society. And this is reflected in the original 7 purposes of ISKCON. Some of them you know, but the last one is to, or one of them is to live a simpler, more natural way of life. Yeah. Which includes the cow. So in this culture, people are very enthusiastic to have pets as dogs, cats, parakeets, other things. Usually they bring them inside the house. But in Vedic culture, the cow was like one of the members of the family. And even, after, sometimes before eating, they would also feed the cow the first part of the preparation. Srila Prabhupada talks here, and it's mentioned in the verse, that the cow is hankering for grass. Why is that? Why do you think that might be? This verse is very amazing because it's a prediction of what's going to happen, what will happen in the age of Kali.
Because people are using the land to build buildings. It's being developed into buildings, and there's not much agriculture left.
Yes, even in many of the dairies, they keep the cows restricted, and they feed them some kind of awful stuff where they get ground up. They actually call it offals. You know this? They call it offals. You know, the remnants of slaughtered animals, they ground up and mix it and they feed it to the cows. You know this? And in other countries like Europe and some parts of Asia, this is not allowed. The reason is because there's something called bovine encephalopathy. We call it mad cow disease.
Mad cow disease, yeah.
So it's transmitted in the remains of slaughtered animals. Not just cows, but also pigs and other things. So but in the United States, it's not restricted. So this verse predicts this, that instead of getting the grass from the field, the cows are fed this other stuff. You know, because grass from the field, you got to have enough land. But if you can get some pig offals or goat offals, that's what they call it, offals, cheaply, then that's cheaper for them to feed the cow and the bull that way, and not have to keep land and harvest and give that grass to the cow. Does that make sense?
Kali Yuga way of doing things.
Yeah. This is the Kali Yuga. You're right. Yeah. So this is a pretty amazing purport. So what does it behoove us to do? Prabhupada started this program of cow protection in ISKCON, and we should take it as a serious part. Sometimes, the farm communities have gone to the GBC, you know this, and said, well, devotees aren't visiting. Devotees aren't, giving much emphasis or importance to the farm projects where the cows are protected. You know this? Have you seen that? So then the GBC has made resolutions that each GBC and sannyasi is supposed to dedicate a certain number of their classes. Have you said this? It's a GBC resolution.
It's pretty old, right, Prabhu? Because now that you're saying it, I'm remembering.
It's about 10 years old.
Yeah, I remember that.
They have to dedicate a certain percentage of their classes to the importance of farm communities and cow protection. Unfortunately, it probably doesn't. I think it's 10%, maybe something like that. I don't remember the exact percentage, but unfortunately, it's not so much followed, even though the intent was there, because other things become distracted. We become distracted by other things. So this cow and the bull here, both are being beaten. Their legs, both of their legs are being beaten by the Kali, as the personified Shudra, in the dress of a king. Shudra in the dress of a king. So he's posing as a qualified administrator, but in reality, his motives are nefarious. And Parikshit Maharaj, as a qualified and qualified Rajarshi, king sage, he rightly stops the activities of Kali in beating the cow and the bull. So does that mean we in the Krishna consciousness movement should make an attempt to stop the activities of cow slaughter and bull slaughter in society?
I would say, yeah.
Yeah, we preach that. We preach that. In fact, when Lord Chaitanya was in Navadvip, when Chandkazi tried to stop the Sankirtan movement, and Lord Chaitanya went to his house, and there was a discussion between Chandkazi and Lord Chaitanya. The first thing Lord Chaitanya, the number first thing Lord Chaitanya addressed with Chandkazi was, he said, "You drink cow's milk, therefore the cow is your mother. And the bull produces grains for your maintenance. What kind of religion kills their father and mother? What kind of religion is that?" Because in Islam, Christianity, etc., they misinterpret the scriptures to allow the slaughter of the cow and the bull without restriction. So Chandkazi, being learned in the Shastras, not only of the Muslims, but also he knew something about the what he called the Hindu scriptures. He said, but also in your scriptures, your Hindu scriptures, there's an arrangement for Ashvamedha and Gomedha Yagya, cow and horse sacrifice. What about that? So what did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu respond?
It's to give them new life.
Yeah, he said, no Hindu, whoever he may be, will never become involved in cow killing. Cow killers are condemned to rot in hellish life for as many thousands of years as there are hairs on the body of the cow. How many hairs are there on the body of the cow? For as many thousands of years as their hairs. And then he said, as you nicely said, Ashvamedha Gavalamban. In this Kali Yuga, different things are forbidden. One is horse sacrifice, one is cow sacrifice. Because in the previous ages, the munis, the sages, they, by the power of their mantra, an old animal was put into the fire and got a new body, rejuvenated by the power of the mantra. But in Kali Yuga, Brahmins don't have the power. They can't chant the mantras properly. So those things, so then instead of cows going into the fire to get a new body, they go into the fire to get slaughtered, or they're slaughtered and put in the fire, against the purpose of the Vedas. And thus, Lord Buddha appeared just to stop those kinds of sacrifices. Yeah. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that. And then he said, in your scriptures, well, that's not very first class, those scriptures. And Chandkazi said, yes, I know in our scriptures, there are many mistakes and allusions, but I follow them for the sake of the community. And then he changed the subject. He said, but you know, the Hindus worship Narayan, and I take that you're the same Narayan, like that. So Lord Chaitanya then encouraged him to chant the holy names and to prevent anyone from obstructing the Sankirtan movement, at least in his district. So after that, it's not mentioned that Chankazi was killing cows, but he became a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya. One would assume that he stopped the involvement in slaughter of cow, being strongly instructed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mhm. Oh, I wanted to read one thing. This is Satya Chaitad Vapar and Kali. So this is the beginning of Kali Yuga. And in Kali Yuga, these things are going on. So there's a book, this book, you've seen it. Oh, is it backwards? Sadhaputa, God, Science, and God and Science. So there's a chapter called The Cross-Cultural Traces of the Vedic Civilization. And I thought it's interesting because sometimes people look askance at people who follow the Vedic religion or Krishna consciousness or what people call Hindus, and they say, they have this holy cow. It's a little weird. You have this holy cows. We might think it's weird that people think the dogs and cats are holy. And what do? Pass stool, right? They cry when their pet dog dies. Right? But anyway, they look askance at the Vedic civilization for appreciating and respecting the cow. So let's see if there's anything like that in other civilizations. Okay, that was the point of this chapter. The ancient Greek writer Aratus tells the following story about the constellation of Virgo. You know Virgo in the zodiac astrology. Yeah, same. Virgo, he says, may have belonged to the star race. This is an ancient Greek historian. In primeval times, in the Golden Age, she lived among mankind as justice personified and would cohort people to adhere to the truth. At this time, people lived peacefully without hypocrisy or quarrel. That was in the age of the Golden Age, which we would call Satya Yoga, yeah. Later, in the age of silver, she hid herself in the mountains, but occasionally she came down to berate people for their evil ways. Finally, the age of bronze came. People invented the sword, and they tasted the meat of cows. The first who did it. At this point, Virgo flew away to the celestial sphere, the celestial realm. Isn't that interesting? So the thing that was a sign of the degradation of human society was what?
She ran away to the mountains.
Manufacturing the sword and tasting the meat of cows. That was this. This is Greek history. That was the sign of.
I was thinking, Prabhu, that when some, when you're reading it and it said that she ran away to hide in the mountains and she came back, I thought, oh, is that Maya, the Krishna's agent servant? I was just wondering, hiding and coming out.
I don't know who exactly it is, but yeah. Another example of similarities between cultures can be found among the natives of North America. The Sioux, or sometimes people call Lakota, say that their ancestors were visited by a celestial woman who gave them their system of religion. She pointed out to them that there are 4 ages and that there is a sacred buffalo that loses 1 leg during each age. As at present, we are in the last age, or the age of degradation, and the buffalo has only 1 leg. Sound familiar? Very, very familiar with this one. That's from the.
Yeah, it's like this, Prabhu.
Except instead of a cow, it's a buffalo.
It's a buffalo. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, only difference. Yeah. So the importance of the cow, we can meditate on today, and this verse, this wonderful verse. reminded of those things and try to incorporate that in our service to Srila Prabhupada and Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for this really nice class about, and especially sharing that different, the book on the signs and how there's some similarity. That was really interesting. And especially in the Native American history. So that was really nice. Would like to ask devotees have any questions or any, yes, Mother Geeta, please go ahead, Mother.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my
Krishna.
humble this August to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for such an enlivening lecture with so many references, which I had never heard before. Thank you so much. Prabhu, could you please elaborate on something you said about liquid religion, please? Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I'm at a loss to elaborate. Srila Prabhupada just often said milk is called liquid religiosity. And he says in this purport that similar things. And associated with that, just the point, as I mentioned, that it's required on one part to, when one takes the milk, that it helps develop fine tissues in the brain that are required for spiritual understanding. And on the other side, the milk products are essential for offering and sacrifice. Like, in order to please Krishna, when we offer our foodstuffs, he's very pleased with offerings made from milk. So to please Krishna, the cow, without the milk, it's not as pleasing. Srila Prabhupada often would, every day, would have sandesh, sandesh. And I mean, that's one kind of sacrifice, is the offering of food, bhog, to Krishna to satisfy him. That's a religious practice. How can we satisfy Krishna with our offerings? And there's also the product of sacrifice, ghee. When there's offered ghee into the fire for ahutis, that's required. Oil, even sunflower oil or some highly refined oil, isn't pleasing to Krishna. So that's a part also of the sacrifice, religiously pleasing Krishna by offering ghee into the fire. And when we do abhishek, there's panchagavya and panchamrita, right? Even panchamrita, 5 things: milk, yogurt, ghee, honey, and sugar water, but 3 of them are from the cow. So to please, how to bathe Krishna, bathe the deities, cow is required, religiosity. These things, even the stool of the cow, panchagavya, even the stool and the urine of the cow are pure. We use them in the sacrifice. So that's part of the religion. Even even the dust raised from the walking of the cow, when the cow walks, the dust from their hoofs is used to purify. Mother Yashoda used to use the dust from the hooves of the cows when they're walking to put on Krishna for purification. So these are all examples. I don't know much more than that.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I was just thinking, Prabhu, how did Mother Yashoda catch the dust coming from the cows, the hooves of the cows? I'm just wondering.
That you're going to have to investigate.
I was just
I don't know
wondering,
either.
how did she
And-
do that?
And when they do the deity installation, also they use a different kind of a brush to put the different things on, and one is the dust of the cow. Parikshit Prabhu.
Well, go ahead. You have to unmute.
Hare
yourself.
Krishna, thank you. Peace yourself on the basis of so
Please,
glory
Bye.
to the Prabhupada. About the yagyas, I know it's not being done anymore because qualified brahmana is not around to chant the mantras. But those times when they were around to chant mantras, we offered an old cow And the understanding is that from the mantras, the cow gets new life. So my question is, after the cow gets new life, so the soul goes into a new body. So we get a new cow then? Specifically, is it a cow that comes out? A new cow? Younger cow?
Yes.
Okay. I just want clarification on that. That's all. Mhm.
Yeah. And you think, if they're actually killing the cows, doesn't make sense, right? For Gomeda Yagya. You remember in the Mahabharata, there was Karna,
Yeah.
the oldest brother of the Pandavas before Kunti's marriage. So he was cursed by a Brahmin because he was hunting and he killed a cow, mistakenly killed a cow, right?
Yeah.
So what Karna did was he said, well, I'll give you 1,000 cows. I'll give you 1,000 cows. Don't curse me, please. Give you 1,000 cows. But the Brahmin said, no way. That's not going to make up for this transgression. And if you think about it, it's very interesting. I mean, if you just think of the cow as a commodity, why didn't he take 1,000 cows? But if your child or your son or daughter is killed, they can give you 100, try to give you so many children, but that's a very dear child. You can't replace it or make up for the death by all these giving so many other things. Because the cow, this cow the Brahmin had was an individual being, dear, just like a family member. So Karna was cursed, and so when his fight with Arjun, the curse came to fruition. How important that? That's just another example of the importance of each cow. Does it make sense, that one?
Hare Krishna. Yes.
Prabhu, as when you were speaking about Srila Prabhupada wanting to come to, when Srila Prabhupada came to Gitanagari, I think he came for one night, is what Mother Kalini said. I don't remember. The first time, and that building is still there. It used to be called the Blockhouse when we were living in Gitanagari.
Oh, the one that's straight ahead there when you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that 2-floor blockhouse, because it's made with cement. I think it's built with cement. If Prakash can correct me, so that's why they call it the blockhouse. And I was told that the bottom floor, it's 2 floors, one, and they're 2 separate apartments, like one room apartment kind of a thing, like very, very small. And the bottom floor is where Srila Prabhupada stayed there for one night. And interestingly, Krishna's arrangement, we lived in that first floor for about, I don't know, 8 years, I think, my husband, but approximately. So we had the mercy to stay on the same floor and room where Srila Prabhupada lived for one night.
Wow.
And yeah. And both the girls grew up there, born there in the same floor and grew up there.
Gitanagari, wow.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, in the little corner, in that little house. And well, when we were there, that floor, in fact, one devotee, and I think it was Mother Turuni, if I'm not mistaken, or Mother Kalini said that, they showed the position where his bed was. And when we were living there, that area was turned into a mini kitchen, but that's where Srila Prabhupada's bed was, is what they said. The corner of that little apartment.
Yes. And
I
you
don't know
came
what
in
they turned that building into right now, but when we were there, it was called the Blockhouse.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the history of Gitanagari would be very interesting. I know that when it was first purchased, it wasn't named Gitanagari.
No,
But that-
probably. I don't know what it was named, but I remember that the property, the names on the property was called Day Memorial Trust. Prakshit knows because he was on the board at that time. All the legal names, I think it was called Day Memorial Trust or something, but it wasn't named Gitanagari. I don't know what it was named at the time.
The Memorial Trust was for the holdings of Gitanagari as a whole, not just stuff.
Oh, okay.
And when was the property purchased?
I'm not sure.
70 something.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
77?
I think it was 74, but I'm not 100%
It
sure.
is 74. I was about to say, because I remember seeing the original papers, at the time, it was 74. I remember, and like you said, Prabhu, there was just a small creamery, like he was owned by some local guy.
Yes.
It was
And the
little
only
baby.
other building was that first building you come to when you're down the road, and it was not, there was just one house and nothing else nothing down, when you make a right turn, there was just nothing down there.
Yes, and I
Uh,
think that's the blockhouse.
No, the block
No, it
house was
wasn't.
further.
Okay,
The
okay.
first house, and then there's the blockhouse down there.
Oh, yeah.
And then the temple was in that first house. In the first
Yes,
house, it was in the ground floor, yeah, of the first
yes,
house.
right, yes.
And
Brahmachari ashram, that house.
now, yeah.
Yeah, it used to be the Brahmachari ashram when we were there. Yeah,
So-
it's a lot of history.
Why did Srila Prabhupada want to come to Gita Nagari?
I think if I remember correctly, I think he wanted to teach or set up Varnashram Dharma.
He
That's
wanted
what
to solidify the teachings on Varnashram Dharma, yeah. So,
Mhm.
and then which a very important part, especially the is the cow protection.
Yes. And he couldn't make it, is what they said. I think there's if I now I don't know whether Sri Prabhupada wrote it, but I think a Gita Nagari prophecy. Prabhu, do you know about that?
No, I don't know that.
Yeah, I thought that was a Gita Nagari prophecy, but I don't know whether he wrote it or whether Satsrup Maharaj wrote. I don't remember. I really
We'll
don't
have to look at that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting. The name Gita Nagari was Srila Prabhupada wrote some treatises in the 50s about a devotee community, farming, a devotee rural community, and he gave a lot of directions there, and that he named Gita Nagari, and so then that name was shortly given to Gita Nagari later, place where the Bhagavad Gita is spoken.
Wow. Amazing. Yeah, a lot of history. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Any other questions from the voice before we end the class? Any questions, any comments, clarification? If there isn't, going down the list just to make sure. If there isn't, we thank you all so much for joining us, and thank you so much, Vishnugada Prabhu, for enlightening classes. Mother Gita said so educational. Vanchakalptribhyaska kripasindubevacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki
Yeah.
jai. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.